Hi, everyone, and welcome to Me, You, and Who. In this episode, we have returning guest Kiely, a four-time gestational carrier who has turned her personal experience into a mission to support others. Kiely shares about how her passion for surrogacy evolved from her first time as a surrogate to becoming an author, and now through the creation of a surrogacy community support group through Resolve. Her dedication to validation, connection, and education has made her a true advocate for surrogates. Join us as Kiely discusses the importance of asking questions, choosing the right agency, and finding the support needed to embrace the surrogacy journey. Please enjoy. Me, you, and who? Who knew it would take more than two people to have a baby? In a world where infertility is no longer a taboo topic, this podcast will take you through all of the different aspects of surrogacy and egg donation through the lens of many who walk this journey in different ways. My name is Whitney Hall, and I am a two-time surrogate, now turned surrogacy coordinator for Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions, the very agency I used when I chose to carry for two amazing families. With this podcast, it is our goal to help guide and support you as you learn about what it takes to grow a family in an alternative way, as well as hear inspiring and beautiful stories of how this path has changed lives forever. We can't wait for you to hear about just one more way happy families are created every day. Good morning, Kiely. I'm so glad you're here.
Good morning. Thanks.
So you are actually a returning guest of the podcast. But for those who don't know, you are a four-time GC, with each journey being completely different than the last. And you have since taken your knowledge gained from those experiences and have gone to social media, as well as become an author. And you have written 4 books. What would you say was maybe your main motivation whenever you decided to put pen to paper?
The first journey was really just there was such a learning curve, I knew
Sure.
the basics. I am good at reaching out and asking questions and being vocal and making sure I have a good understanding. So there was a lot of communication happening along the way in my first journey with the fertility clinic, with the parents, with Surrogate Solutions. And I was learning so much about all of the little details.
Sure.
And I decided to blog about it, my first journey, and just kind of share my perspective and my mindset and these things that I was learning. And I just got more and more passionate about this experience along the way.
Yeah.
And after blogging, like the first time, it developed into TikTok. Toward the end of the second time, I kind of blogged about it a little bit the second time, and then toward the end of the second time, gearing up for the third time, all of that kind of communication and my perception came out in TikTok, and I kind of grew a presence there. And then as the third journey was ending, I was like, you know what? I have learned so much and I love this all so much. And I really feel good about my mindset and my perception. And these like 10-second, 30-second TikToks aren't cutting it.
Absolutely.
I have so much more that I want to say. And I think the
Sure.
way that I articulate things is really relatable to other people and certainly other surrogates. At least that's what I've found so far. I've gotten a lot of feedback. So the main motivator for me was just let me put everything that's going on in here in a book that
Sure.
will be helpful to other surrogates in their journey. And I took everything that was on my blog and everything that I knew I wanted to say at that point and put it all together and just kept typing and just kept going and elaborated and did some backstory. And anyway, I put it all together and fine-tuned it a little bit, had some people that I trust pitch in and edit it a little, paid someone to format it, and put it on out there for the world.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like you said, I know it's been a benefit to so many. And I think, something that I hear you say is, what was a just, oh yeah, I'm just going to blog about my experience and maybe kind of journal it and keep track of it sort of situation. It sounds like you're underlying, you've always just wanted to be a voice and to help others and to educate others. And, I think in a world where you have TikTok and you have social media and it's so easy to go down rabbit holes of, misinformation and things like that. I think it's wonderful to have someone out there like you who is, saying, hey, hi, look, this is actually like real stuff. This is a real experience that,
Yeah.
I want to share with you, and, and that amazing perspective. And I know that's so helpful for other carriers, which leads me into your new endeavor, which is with Resolve, the National Infertility Association. And you have since created a support group for just gestational carriers. How did
Yeah.
that even begin?
It it is the very very first of its kind ever, very first ever support group for exclusively for surrogates.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know everything. Yeah, I've been a surrogate 4 times. I've had a lot of different unique experiences, but I don't know everything. There's so much perspective out there that
Mm-hmm.
is to be gained from other people and other women and other journeys. And I'm also not a doctor. So I'm super clear about that in my book. Everything I have to say and everything that I'm bringing to the table is just totally my own perspective and experiences. And I get a lot of value. Other people seem to get a lot of value from what I bring to the table. And I've gotten a lot of value from what other people bring to the table, whether it's on
Yeah.
TikTok, YouTube, or Facebook. And as much value as I think there is in seeing other perspectives on Facebook, there's a lot of toxicity there too. And I mean,
Mm,
there's no surprise there. Everybody knows that there's a little bit of that when people are hidden behind a keyboard.
sure.
But I knew there had to be a better way for women all over the country to come together and ask a question and get some perspective and connect with like-minded women without the the toxicity. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I knew of Resolve. A lot of people in the infertility world do, and I would absolutely say that surrogates, even though maybe we haven't struggled with infertility ourselves, and some do, but I imagine most don't. We as surrogates are still involved in the infertility world doing what we
Yeah.
do. So I learned about Resolve and just how huge of an advocate they are in the industry and
Mm-hmm.
what all resources they provide to people in the infertility world. And I saw that there were support groups there. And as I have gotten more and more involved and invested in the surrogacy world,
Mm-hmm.
I have just kind of noticed a lot of these resources and a lot of these organizations and a lot of the content is geared for professionals. It's geared for the reproductive endocrinologist. It's for the agency. It's for the fertility clinic. There isn't a lot that is exclusively for surrogates. There just isn't.
Mm.
Every professional group out there that is advocating for surrogacy, God bless them, but there isn't a lot that is exclusively for surrogates or where a surrogate is involved giving her perspective, maybe. It's all professionals. So I went to this Resolve support group area and
Mm-hmm.
thought, man, it would be really cool if there was something on here like just for surrogates. And there wasn't. But there was a, little link there to say, hey, if you want to start your own peer led support group, here's how to do that. So I just started down the journey in like February of this year and got an email pretty quick. And she said, step one of this is getting on this call with me because we really need to set our expectations and kind of guide you through how we do this. And there's
Sure.
a lot of support and structure here for you, but you need to know what you're getting into and follow kind of this template that we have out there, or this structure that we've built for you.
Sure.
So I went on that call for the first time, learned really what I needed to do, and then the ball was in my court to create the group, or enable people to sign up for this.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, this is so great because March is Surrogacy Awareness Month, and I'm going to get this out in March, and it's going to be awesome. And I was like way pregnant at that time. I mean, I was probably just getting into my third trimester for this last journey. And, here we are, August, September, and like hadn't done anything. And I kept telling myself, like,
we're so motivated. And then
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I know the ball's in my court, but
sure.
I'm going to get there. And one thing led to another, and it just got pushed to the wayside, as many things do when you're juggling everything.
Absolutely.
But then I had a hip surgery on September 30th, and it was no big deal. It sounds like a bigger deal than it is. It really wasn't. And I think the way that they described it was, it's a big surgery with a little incision. But
oh, nice.
I was off work for 2 weeks after this surgery and just spent a lot of time in bed, just recovering and taking it easy. And so I had my laptop there, and man, I got so much stuff done.
Yes.
it was amazing. One of the things,
it's amazing what happens when life forces you to like take a break.
Totally. And every once in a while I need that. I was like, shoot, what other surgeries can I schedule? I need this downtime. But during that recovery time after this surgery, I just got so much stuff done, so much work organized and boxes checked. And one of these boxes that I checked was saying, okay, reconnected with Christy at Resolve. And I said, okay, what do I need to do? Let's maybe start from the beginning. Let's do this call again. And in a matter of a week, I had the group up on the Resolve website. I had created something on Canva that just kind of hyped it up and explained what it is, shared it all over Facebook, and it got quite a bit of attention. They set the expectation, Resolve, that, hey, these groups are and kind of should be rather small. And I thought, okay, cool. That kind of makes for a better dynamic to like make sure everybody has their voice heard.
Sure.
And so we had our first call last week. Yeah, last week on the 7th. And there was a handful of us. There was like 4 or 5, but we were talking and chatting and connecting the whole way through. And it was really cool to see the different perspectives that were on that call, because there were no 2 women with the exact same cookie cutter journey. Everyone it was very different. One that was researching, and one that's newly retired, and one that's in her first journey, and one that's caring for a family member. And everyone had questions, and it was just a really cool dynamic. And the first of many. The idea is to do this support group call on the first Thursday of every month going forward. And one of these days, it'd be cool to have a backup in case I'm not there. But at the moment, it's all me, and I'm loving it so far.
That's awesome. So going back to when you were exploring, the Resolve website, and, just you were looking, and you mentioned, a lot of things are for professionals or, intended parents. What made you think that having, I guess, what was kind of that motivation of, having a support group, this type of support for surrogates? Why is that necessary? Why do you feel like that is necessary?
I think it's going back to what I said about Facebook. Facebook is a huge resource for
Sure.
surrogates. There's some educational content on the Resolve website for surrogates and kind of
Yeah.
teeing up some expectations there. There's some information on the ASRM website. There's a ton of information you could get from any good agency out there. But nonetheless, a lot of women are using these Facebook groups. There's tens of thousands of
Yeah.
women in these Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And like I said, as cool as it is to see all these different perspectives and get a quick answer or get some direction or whatever, I read some of these comments sometimes and I get to one bit of their sentence and I'm like, oh man, girl, you're going to get ripped apart. And I hate that.
Oh,
I hate that
yeah.
so much. It's so real. I, for example, this one girl had posted recently about how all she was looking for was community and maybe a little bit of validation. And you guys know what I'm going through. So let me tell you how excited I am. And it'd be really cool if other people were excited for me. I'm convinced that's what she was looking for because
Mm-hmm.
all her post was, hey guys, I'm so excited. We have our transfer tomorrow. The parents are going to be there. We're wearing these shirts, all these things. And then she said in there that it was a double embryo transfer, which, by the way, is totally your choice to do. There's
Right.
medical professionals involved in this whole thing. It's totally okay
Right.
to choose to do that. Surrogates on the same page, doctors on the same page, IPs are on the same page. If that's what they choose, guys, stay in your lane. you know? But man, she said it in their double embryo transfer, and I thought, oh man, she's just gonna get it. And all of her comments were like, I would never do an embryo transfer. Do you even know how risky
Mm,
that is? And I'm reading
mm,
these like, can somebody just love her? you know? So I
yeah.
comment and I'm like, super excited for you. Cheers to the rest of this journey. I hope everything's successful. Because that's what she was looking for. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
I thought, if I can change this dynamic a little bit and get
Mm-hmm.
people away from their keyboard and put the people that really want community face to face or at least voice to voice, I bet it would be a little bit less toxic and a lot more helpful.
Yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful way to sum it up because I think you're so right. And you said it best. Everybody it's so easy to be a keyboard crusader. But as soon as you
Unfortunately.
actually put a name to a face and you meet somebody, I mean, there's people
Yeah.
behind those little names at the top. Those are real people, whether you agree or don't disagree. And yeah, I think having that community is so important. And I think that's what people were originally thinking when those Facebook groups were created.
And I don't mean to bash on these Facebook groups, so I'm gonna say something super positive about these Facebook groups, all in the vein of, community. After I set up this Resolve group and people were starting to sign up, I
Yeah.
have had this other, project on my heart for a while. And I remember talking to another surrogate, and her and I were thinking, how cool would it be if like there was somebody that worked at the hospital that like understood this surrogacy situation and could like meet with you while you're in labor and delivery recovery and could just totally empathize and validate you and be with you in that moment and just be a friend. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, man, that'd be cool if there was like some position like that at a hospital, but I'm not going to hold my breath. But then I thought on it more and I thought, what would validate a surrogate in that moment and make her feel like she has a community in that moment? And it's a pretty unique situation, as you know, to be recovering in labor and delivery. There's no infant there that is a product of your relationship. It's
Sure,
the
sure.
conclusion to,
I think we can all count the many times where we've been in the hospital and the person comes in and says, "Where's the baby?" And you're
yeah,
like,
I
"No,
don't
no,
know.
no, not me. I don't know."
We're the parents. it's just a different dynamic, and it's awesome. It's wonderful. It's empowering and fulfilling, but it's just a little bit different. And especially for a first time surrogate, it's just something that you are navigating and experiencing for the first time, moment by moment. So, you know who understands what you're going through and knows what that feels like? Another surrogate.
Right?
So, I put together this whole program called Send a Friend, and I communicated it in every Facebook group I'm in, which people all over the country are probably kind of overseeing my things, and because we're all in multiple groups, you know,
Sure,
I'm
sure.
sure not the only one. So people are seeing it in like 5, 6 different places, which is fine. But I said, hey, if you're an experienced surrogate, go to my website, click on this button, and volunteer. And I'm going to have this other button for women that are about to deliver, or hey, I've just delivered and I'm in the hospital for a couple more days, or whatever it may be. And they're going to request that we send a friend, and they're going to tell us a little bit about their journey, and or not. And at the very least, they're just going to say, hey, I I need a surrogate friend. And from
Mm,
all of these volunteers that have signed up, I'm going to see where there's the closest volunteer to that surrogate that needs a friend, and I'm going to send one over. And I'm going to say, hey, you're in Springfield, Jessica, so is Heather. And Heather totally wants to come and sit with you and talk to you and be a friend for you in this moment. And I rolled that out, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, and there's a couple hundred volunteers from all over the country, almost one in
mm,
every state across the country, that
yeah.
have volunteered and are super excited. And it doesn't cost anybody any money. I'm not making any money off of it. It's totally just this volunteer based, a testament to the hearts of surrogates that just want to be a friend to other surrogates.
Yeah. Well, it's community. I think going back to, the beginning of this, it's community. And I think
Yeah.
that is what, and it's a special community. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
And for anybody who, thinks that, oh, that myth of everyone's only motivated by money, or, just that kind of thing, you can't be in this space and
Yeah.
not have any sort of, I mean, you have to be selfless in some way, shape, or form. And there's something so beautiful about this community. And I think it's amazing that you are finding all of these ways to support, to educate, to help others, because not everybody, chooses to go the agency route and has a coordinator that's been a surrogate before and
Yeah.
can hold your hand through that first journey and can be a part of that exchange of information and be there to support you. And it's beautiful that you are bringing to light just the goodness that is being a carrier and supporting others that are. I think that's amazing. What
Thank
would
you.
you say is, what would you want a surrogate to feel when they walk away from that support group?
I would love for somebody to walk away from that experience feeling validated and related to. It's a
Hmm.
small community,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of others that understand what you're going through and what you're navigating and
Mm-hmm.
what your thought process might be and what your
Yeah.
mindset might be. And if you're wondering, how do I navigate this whole taking time off of work thing after delivery, or how do I get my husband on board, maybe, or how do I tell my kids that I'm thinking about being a surrogate, or what if we're talking to the IPs and they don't want to be in the delivery room? Or what if I feel really strongly about an epidural and the IPs don't want an epidural? Or what if, you name it,
Sure.
there's somebody out there that has kind of been in your shoes already, and it may just take the two of you getting on a call for a second, and you don't have to figure this out on your own or reinvent the wheel because you have a friend that's been there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
There's something beautiful about that for sure.
I think so
How do
too.
you how do you feel like you would have benefited from something like this during your journeys?
Man, I did a lot of work on my own to ask a ton of questions of
Mhm.
by the time we got to embryo transfer, I thought, man, I should bring this lady flowers. The coordinator at the fertility clinic, and I may have even brought her something, but she was just amazing, and she answered so many questions. And why this dose and why that? Well, there's this other thing out there. How come this? And how do these make sense? And
Sure.
things that like maybe not everybody asks. Like I had an eye appointment one time, and this ophthalmologist that I was talking to, he said, "Are you an engineer?" I said, "No." He's like, "You just ask so many questions." But I do. I want and need to know the why. And man, as soon as you get me there, as soon as you help me understand the full picture and the why, that's all I need. And I'm gonna fully understand it. I can teach other people. I just need
Mm.
you to help me connect a couple dots. And I did that work on my own. There really wasn't a lot of, hey, here, watch this video, or hey, there's a ton of people on TikTok that are sharing their perspective. It was really just Facebook. And I'm making myself sound way old.
Technology's fast. Technology's fast.
Yeah, I mean, there just wasn't as much out there when I started in whatever 2016, 2017,
Yeah.
as there is now. And even now, like I said, there still isn't a ton of resources specifically for surrogates, which is why I'm on the journey that I'm on to help kind of fill that gap. And I think, man, in another 5-10 years from now, I think that landscape is going to look pretty different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you are so right. I think, it's also a personality thing. You are someone who is perfectly capable, and, it is your duty to yourself to ask those questions and to find out that why. And then there are others who are either afraid, or, I know for me, I was very much a go and get along kind of girl. I was like, sure, great. If this gets us from point A to point B, I am down for it. And, but to have either the ability to find out that why from others who are either in your shoes, about to be in your shoes, or have a different perspective, or to just have that community, something like this support group is so important for other surrogates out there who are looking for that safe space.
Yeah, and I think so too. And as I think it's a cool strength of mine to push and to ask and to take that initiative and to find out. But at the same time, I've definitely been on the flip side of that. And people will ask, like, well, what was your HCG levels along the way? I'm like, shoot, I don't know. You know?
Right.
Like, I maybe
I've
wrote
slept
that
since then.
totally. I think I wrote it down once, and it was the journey where we transferred the one embryo and she split, and I ended up carrying twins. And
Mm-hmm.
the difference in the HCG numbers from the beta to the second draw was like, ooh, maybe there's two humans.
There's something here.
Yeah.
Sure.
But besides that, like, I just kind of get to the next stage, and I just kind of compartmentalize a little bit, and I'm like, okay, cool. So what do we do now? Okay, great, that's
Mm-hmm.
done. On to the next thing. Okay, great, that's done. On to the next thing.
Right. She's checking her boxes.
Yeah. I just move on to the next thing. So to ask me to like look back 3 journeys and find out like how thick was your uterine lining, I'm like, girl, I don't know. I have no idea.
For sure, for sure. No, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so for someone, because you are the question asker, and for someone who is maybe starting this process, what would you want day one Kylie to know as you're getting started, as this seed of a, hey, I think I want to be a surrogate?
I think it's important to know that there's a perception out there, and not everybody loves surrogacy. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody thinks that surrogates are helpers, selfless, good hearted people. You know, there's a perception out there that isn't all that positive, and that
Mm-hmm.
may take a bit of navigating. You kind of have to anticipate some skeptics and
Sure.
be super confident about why you're wanting to be a surrogate. And for me,
Mm.
I felt that confidence pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And surrogacy has been really one of the only things that you can put me on with anybody and I'm not backing down, girl. I hear you. I hear you. And I get that that's how you feel or that's what you think about surrogacy. I'm convinced that you probably don't truly know everything about surrogacy if that's how you feel. But
Mm-hmm.
I, aside from having my own kids, it's been one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done, and I've loved every damn bit of it along the way,
Yeah.
all four times. So I think one of the first things that I would hope any new surrogate would understand is that there's a bit of navigating to do and some skepticism that you're going to face, and be confident. Put that in its own bucket in your brain, close it up, and move on.
For sure. For sure. Absolutely.
I
Your
think,
why is that big base, for sure.
yeah. I think another thing that I would hope that women are really thinking about is how they're going to start this journey, whether it's independent or through an agency. You can go either way. There's pros and cons either way. But if you're going through an agency, there are lots of things that you should think about and lots of questions that you should be prepared to ask, and you should be advocating for yourself and find an agency that's going to love you enough to advocate with you. And I thinking back, man, I am so lucky because I talked to one agency, to one person, and didn't necessarily do my research that everybody's like, they'll rip you apart on Facebook for this too. Like, have you even done your research? You haven't even asked me a question.
Oh,
Like,
the phrase.
your agency has so many red flags and, you know, this, that, and the other. I absolutely did not do my research. I just got really freaking lucky with
Mm-hmm.
thinking, okay, and a lot of surrogates think, where's the closest agency to me? And the location of the agency is really irrelevant to you as a surrogate, but that's kind of where we start. Like, what's the closest one? And to me at that time, and I think it still is, Surrogate Solutions was the closest one to me. So I read every word on the website. And when I had reached out to, whatever email that they had there to get some more information, lo and behold, the owner at the time lived in the same city as me. So we got together for frozen yogurt. I brought my husband along, and she just kindly and empathetically and very simply, with zero pressure, just informationally asked every question that we had. And I have felt that level of empathy and advocacy and love and support from every person I've ever come in contact with at Surrogate Solutions, and other women that connect with other agencies, and there's a lot out there, aren't that lucky, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
should I have done a little bit more research that I can say, like, oh yeah, I've talked to this, and I wish I would have ended up the same way and still connecting with
Sure.
Surrogate Solutions. But I I just think it's important at the very beginning to, especially now, because there's so many more agencies out there now than there
Yeah.
was in 2016. But there, that whenever I talk about an agency now, or the concept of going through an agency, I'll add that good agency in there, because there's some that just aren't. and I'm not going to name any names. No, I hope nobody really does in this the format like this, but it there there are risks you could take as a surrogate if you're not connected with an agency that is full of empathetic advocates. And I
Well,
just feel
there's a
like I got lucky.
difference between, I think you hit the nail on the head. You say good, others say reputable. Um, you know, and there really is a difference. Anybody can, come up with decide one day that they're going to start an agency, and anyone can throw up a website. But, at the difference between 2016, because I was with you, girl. I was definitely I heard a friend down the hallway talk about surrogacy. I jumped on them, and then I just got lucky, just like you. And yes, and Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions was the very first and only agency that I ever spoke to. But there is a difference between 2016 and now, where there are so many agencies out there and so many ways to find an agency. Now there's, these kind of brokerage things that you can go through, and there's just so many things that you have to navigate or feel like you have to navigate when you're doing your research. And so it is so important to have those, interactions with people. And yeah,
Perspective.
research is a big thing. Look at Seeds, look at Resolve,
Yeah.
look at these reputable places to get
Yeah.
you started. Because yes, you should never, and I feel like I say this ad nauseum, but you should never feel like a number in this process.
Yeah.
And you should, like you said, have that empathy and feel as though everyone in this journey is being advocated for,
Yeah.
surrogates and intended parents
I feel
alike.
like if women are finding themselves in that position and they've maybe they don't have an agency or they haven't chosen a reputable agency that is full of, empathetic advocates, that experience and the risks that are involved in there, and that reality of feeling like you're just a number and not being fully supported and feeling alone and not having the right guidance to ask all of the right questions and being blindsided down the road and ending your journey with a sour taste in your mouth for surrogacy,
Mm-hmm.
all of that contributes to this negative perception that's out there about surrogacy and surrogates and the industry. So all that to say, connecting with the right agency could be the differentiator there to really change the outcome of your whole journey and to therefore
Absolutely.
help improve the perception of surrogacy and your own experience too.
Yeah, 100%. And having things like your support group is so beneficial for any woman that is navigating what was once a small space as far as research is concerned,
Yeah.
um, to what it is now. I mean, my gosh, if I was starting day one now, I would be beyond overwhelmed. Um, and so it's wonderful to have this type of community that you have created through this support group and through Send a Friend, and all of those things that you are so passionate about, because they are so beneficial
Thank
to
you.
creating, absolutely, to I mean, truly, you're creating something that is can be so difficult to navigate, and yes, leave a sour taste and leave people feeling, I mean, for lack of a better phrase, ick at the
Yeah.
end of a
Yeah.
journey, or even throughout a journey. Um, and I mean, whether you find yourself in that type of journey right now, this support group is going to help. This support
Yeah.
group is going to give you that those questions to ask, or help you along, or ways to advocate for yourself. And I think that's so amazing, especially when and I'll speak for me. I know my own experience with Egg Donor and Surrogate Solutions. I was grateful to have that support through my coordinator and through the
Yeah.
agency, and not everybody, was lucky like us. And so if, this is another great resource for surrogates. I think it's amazing.
Thank you. I tried to, another reason why I think I wanted to get a book out there too was in order to get the benefit out of the perspective and the information that you're able to get out of Facebook, you just have to sit there and listen and take the initiative to kind of look for what you're looking for um, amidst the toxicity that's on there. Or you can go to this support group where you have to put in the effort to communicate,
Yeah.
and talk to people and maybe be on camera if you want to. But if you're not quite there yet, you're like, I'm kind of just in the background and soaking up what I want to soak up, and I'm learning, and I want to better set my expectations, but I don't know that I want to like sit on a phone call and like talk to a bunch of people. I think the book could be helpful too. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's called The Guidebook for Surrogates, and the whole point around it was, like I said, let me get everything that I know and that I've experienced. Let me outright tell you I'm not a doctor and I don't know anything.
Right.
But
From
let
one
me,
surrogate to another.
for sure, yeah. And I even said in there, like, I have had you in mind from the very beginning. And it's just, there's some infographics in there. And a lot of my perspective is in this book. And it's all meant to be a guidebook for somebody that hasn't navigated the journey before, or maybe they did and they didn't feel like they got as much support or guidance the first time around. It's just something, another resource that surrogates could use. And I think the other three books are solid resources too, but this one, The Guidebook for Surrogates, is really meant to be, as I'd like to say, all inclusive, but man, I learn something new every day and I'm like, shoot, that's not in there.
Might need to have a
But
volume 2.
volume 2 just came out like a couple weeks ago.
There you go.
But even still, like,
volume 3 is on its way.
there's it's never gonna have everything in there, but it is
Sure.
it is pretty all inclusive. I mean, it touches on every major step of the process, from what do I think I need to ask myself before I want to start down this journey, and what is this medical evaluation, what is this psychological evaluation, and what do I need to think about for this legal process, and what should I be asking other IPs to make sure that everyone understands each other's expectations, and we do the best that we can to foster a really cool relationship and journey. And what do I need to think about postpartum, and what are all these acronyms? I try to put as much
Absolutely
in this book to be helpful as possible, just as another way, another method for women to learn and benefit and feel supported.
Yeah, for sure. Along that same line, can someone come to the support group and just listen?
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's no hard expectation, and I kind of tee that up in the beginning of the call to kind of explain what this is and what the purpose is. And if you are just needing to be a fly on the wall and hear real life voices and soak in the information and perspective as a silent observer at the moment, totally fine. As long as I'm not really allowed to have professionals come in there and be a fly on a wall. But if you're a surrogate, or have been a surrogate, anybody is welcome to come and listen in or participate or ask some questions or guide the conversation in a different way or whatever is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that. I think that's so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. My last question, and as a repeat podcaster, I'm sure you know what's coming, but for those that don't know me, I and coffee have a beautiful relationship with one another, and I would say it's very codependent. So I always like the question, as you know, what filled your cup today? Literally or figuratively, what was the thing that filled your cup?
I think I'll answer that figuratively. And I don't know that it's a today thing, but I really feel like I'm going through a season of life right now. There's a lot going on
Yeah.
personally, professionally, in my household, in my 9 to 5 full-time job that I have, all of these passion projects that I have. There's a lot going on, and I think what really makes me feel like my cup is full is the support I get from my husband.
Hmm.
I'm going to try to say that without crying. I think one of the things a lot of surrogates try to navigate in the beginning is, okay, how do I get my husband on board? And I totally had to navigate that too. Like the first time I mentioned it to Dean, he was like, "What? I don't know
I'm sorry,
about."
what? Say that
Yeah,
again? You
yeah,
want to do what
yeah.
now?
You're gonna carry a baby for somebody else? Like what do you mean? But really, once I gave him the time and the space to ask all of his questions and really learn as much as I had already about how impactful it could be for other people, for us,
Yeah.
for, there's so many benefits. It really, he very quickly became much more empathetic and understood kind of where I was coming from. And he has been such a solid advocate and supporter for me every
Mm.
step of the way, from all of these little things that I'm trying to do, the support group, the send a friend, the 4 books that I have out there. And there's lots of other things that I haven't even told anyone about that I'm very slowly, working toward. and he just helps make it all possible. He made the analogy recently that he's like the man behind the scenes on the computer, and I'm
There
the
you go.
movie said superhero, or I'm the whatever, and he's just like the nerd at the computer.
I love
And yeah, and
it.
he yeah, I there's a lot of success that I see in my endeavors, really, that he has a big part in. So my husband fills my cup.
Mm. Having that support is so important. It's so
Yeah.
important. And I mean, I say that as someone who also experienced that as a surrogate and now as a coordinator and educator. That's one of the biggest questions we ask is, who is supporting you? What does your support group look like?
Yeah.
Because you can't do this if you don't have that. And
Yeah. And it
it's
doesn't need to be everybody. You don't have to
no.
have everyone on your side totally agreeing with every word you say, but your partner should absolutely be headed in the same direction as you mentally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's amazing that you have this resource for women who are wanting to go through this process with a partner who is hesitant, and how to
Yeah.
navigate that and the best way to support them as they are learning about your dream to want to do this. And so,
I have had the idea I may put him on a upcoming support group for a few months down the line and have him lead it and open it up to the husbands. And if you surrogate have a husband that wants to connect with another husband that has navigated this a time or
yeah,
two and wants his perspective, or has his own questions and wants to talk to another man about it, maybe we just get all you guys together.
there
You
you
know?
go. Look at your wheels just spinning. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for everything that you have done, whether it was as a surrogate and helping those grow those sweet, beautiful families, to now just continuing to support this beautiful community. So thank you for all you do. And I'm just so excited to see all of your upcoming passion projects for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Me, You, and Who. We appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed our discussion today. As we wrap, we would like to remind you of some of the ways that you can stay connected with us and be part of the Me, You, and Who podcast community. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode and can stay up to date with our latest content. But that's not all. We also have an exciting YouTube channel where we share some bonus content, behind the scenes glimpses, and video versions of our episodes. Head over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button there as well. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the new episodes go live. And for more exclusive updates, engaging discussions, and a chance to connect with fellow listeners. Be sure to follow us on our social media accounts. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Create a Happy Family. If you're interested in finding out more about creating a happy family, please visit us at www.createahappyfamily.com. Thank you again for being part of the Me, You, and Who community. Your support means the world to us. I can't wait for you to join us next time as we continue to share stories and journeys of creating happy families.